Welcome back to Oathbound Gaming. Today, we're doing a complete review on Edge of Eternity. Edge of Eternity is a JRPG-esque game, a game that's heavily inspired by JRPGs. It plays a lot like it. I put over 80 hours into the game, completed it, got all achievements, because I'm a bit of an achievement hunter. So I did it all. I did all the completionist type of stuff. So I have a good amount of knowledge on this game to give you a complete review. At the end of this video, we're going to do a pros, cons, and final thoughts. We're also going to take a look at some of the recent updates that Edge of Eternity has released since my last video on Edge of Eternity. I highly recommend checking that out, the last videos, by the way. There's 2 previous ones. You'll get a lot of information about the game. But enough about that, let's get started. I wanted to start the video out by showing you some of the absolutely gorgeous zones that you will find in Edge of Eternity. Come on, is that not beautiful? But how about some variety? Are they all like this? Do they all look beautiful and naturey? I don't think so. Let's check out the next one. Maybe a desert type of zone is more of your thing. Lava flowing through. It's kind of barren, a little bit. But it's not all just desert. You got a pretty interesting, huge mushroom-esque type of tree. And one thing that I really liked, I thought was a nice touch, was it's got a nice little oasis going on here. Some resources to gather, as you will see throughout the world as you travel. So I love the zone design. This game's got pretty top of the line design when it comes to the world. I really do like it. One more zone we're going to take a look at, something that's pretty unique. So you weren't thinking the game was all bright and happy sunshine areas, did you? Did you think that? I love it. Love the song, love the mood it sets. It's decrepit and a little bit of horror, a little bit of grotesque going on, right? Alright, enough about the zones. Next section, let's go! So, we're gonna enter a battle here, right? We see some enemies up ahead of us. We're gonna dismount from our awesome Nekrage. That is what that thing is called. Look how cute he is. Aw. Or she. So if I right-click here, because I'm playing with a mouse, I will be able to dash forward like that. If I hit an enemy like this, time it well, hit an enemy, I'll get an initiative type of like player initiative. So I get a bonus, right? A bonus, I guess. I just get to act first. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out is this is going to be a super easy fight because I'm way out leveling these guys, but I don't want this to take too long. It's going to be super easy. So I have 4 characters to use right now, and I'm fighting enemies that are weaker than me. So it's gonna be pretty damn simple. So as I take turns, obviously, you'll see this white bar move when I'm attacking and waiting for someone else to take their turn, right? So we'll wait for someone, you'll see the bars move. My units down here, or characters down here, will move as well with their ATB bars. Like any simple, like, turn-based RPG, right? But this is hex-based, and there is a bit of strategy to the game, in a way. Because there's AoEs that will target like an entire hex, and multiple units can be on the same hex, so you can AoE down a lot of enemies if you get them on there. You can knock enemies back as well. You can damage teammates. There's some attacks that allow you to move and attack at the same time, like that. So he moves and does damage to the 2 cells next to him. Fallon over here, which is your range character, she could also place down mines and, you know, stuff like that. Now, I'm going to use Isaurus' advanced attack, like advancement. He'll move forward. It's called Bum Rush. And he'll move forward 1 hex here and push an enemy back. But as you see, I also hit Darian, one of the friendly characters in the game. You're not supposed to hit him. But because he was standing there and I was too stupid to realize that, I knew that. He took damage as well and also got pushed back. So there is some strategy to fights as well. But the combat is overall pretty simple, and the whole game was, yeah, not too difficult. Even on the hardest difficulty, it was still rather simple. At the end of combat, you get experience. Your weapons will also level as well. But nothing too crazy when it comes to, I don't know, combat difficulty. Nothing too difficult, which is a little bit of a con for me. I wish it was a little harder, but it wasn't too easy. So while we're here, talking about combat, leveling, stuff like that. This is the crystal tree. But this is the tree of the weapon called the Ugly Truth that I have equipped, right? As we zoom out, we can see all of these. You'll start with a center node on the hex, and I'll change his weapon intentionally, and we say, no, we won't remove the crystals, but we'll take a look at this one. So you can see this board on this weapon is different than the one I had previously, and it has nothing socketed into it, right? So as I socket stuff, I'll be able to socket more and more gems, and it'll start locking off paths saying, hey, you already placed a crystal in this path, so you have to follow that path. You can, of course, remove your crystals as you want and, you know, mix and match and decide which crystals you want to use. Now, taking a closer look at what you're actually socketing in here, these, like an Apex Stone. If you take a look at the bottom right, you'll see this Apex Stone gives defense, health, and it gives him 2 spells. So this will determine the abilities you have available in combat. So it's giving him 2, but if I go to green, they'll have different skills on the green ones. And as I go through these green gems, you'll see, okay, this one gives Death Mark and Cyclone. This one gives Death Mark and Dodging Stance. So you'll get different stuff depending on which gems you socket into which slot. So I definitely want to switch back my weapon now because I don't want to forget to put his good stuff on. And of course, other characters have their own trees as well, and they get pretty big, but you can only take one path. So that's the only real customization when it comes to character progression. It's like their crystals and their equipment they're wearing. But of course, it does the crystals you socket also determines the spells they have available. So the customization is, it's there. It's not vast, it's not crazy big, but it's good enough. It's good enough, right? All right, let's move on. So one of the cool things this game has is a pretty damn nice Twitch integration. So I can change the weather to foggy by voting on Twitch that I would like to do that in the game. Now, obviously, a viewer would do that, and I wouldn't do that to my own stream, but there you go. I changed the view during, or the weather during the game. But it goes beyond that.
Don't worry,
there are votes that the viewers can do in combat. There's stuff they can change. They can boost some attacks. They can heal your squad if you're dying. They can actually help interact. And beyond that, they can actually appear as viewers, as enemies in battle. So you see that guy has Twitch viewer aura. That unit is actually stronger now. And is more rewarding. It'll give more experience and such. Which I thought was pretty damn cool. So I wanted to show this real quick. One more quick combat. Which I just wanted to give a shout out for that because that was pretty cool to see, and I don't see that pretty often. You know, there's some games that do that. So we have Sai over here, who just happens to be the enemy in combat, which is cool because he's one of the editors for the channel who will be editing this video. So there's Sai right there. I did not set this up, I promise. So he is now a stronger enemy, and I just killed Sai, and he gave me more rewards for killing him. I just wanted to share a little bit about that. It's a pretty cool integration. Pretty cool, you gotta admit. One of the things I wanted to discuss in the game was a story, but I didn't want to show any story. I don't want to spoil that for you guys, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to spoil any events, I promise, alright? Trust me. So, the story, the feeling of the story, we're just exploring a city while we talk about this a little bit, okay? Because you do get to explore some cool cities. The story is not lighthearted, but it's not too heavy either. It's not like we're gonna leave you depressed and oh man, I shouldn't have watched that before going to sleep. I'm super sad, you know. Like it's not like that, but it's not so lighthearted that everything is happy, sunshine, rainbows. Things get serious, and serious enough where like you actually begin to care. Like, oh man, you know, I hope they make it out of this, and this character, my favorite character, pulls through, that type of stuff. So the story was actually a lot better than I expected. And the main character, who is this lovely dude riding on this Nekrage, he is actually likable. I did like Darian. He's a little skinny like me. A little too skinny, maybe. But he's got a likable personality to the point where, like, it's not that silent character that does nothing and says nothing, and it's not the character that's always, like, depressed and whiny. It's someone that actually gets some... He gets crap done, right? He'll step up when needed during some events, and he'll be like, you know, team, line up, you know, pay attention. stop being all pouty, let's do this, let's take this guy down. So he has a little bit of that type of vibe to him, which was really, really something I appreciated, and I liked seeing in a game. Finally, there was a character that's like, okay, he's realistic. After years of military training, he's just gonna lock up and freeze up in his first battle. It's just, you know, I hate that type of crap. So this guy actually, he brings it, you know? He brings some, personality. So, beyond the story, I don't want to say anything more. I don't want to deliver any information about actual events. So we're going to jump towards the updates that the game has done. And I'm going to do this live. I'm going to show you without doing any editing here. I want to show you exactly what you can expect to see if you actually pick up this game and look into it. Look into the past updates. You can see the devs, even after the release, which I should do it in this order. I should say, here we go. They released on June 8th. I did a video on June 8th, right? On June 14th, they did a patch that addressed, like I said, I'm not going to do any editing, addressed some balancing and performance issues, which was good. I'm not going to scroll over that spoiler because I don't want to spoil that for you guys. Roadmap. They came straight out and said, hey, in 2022, we're still going to be doing updates. Nekrage farm and breeding. End-game content. It's going to be like end-game dungeons, new gear, new weaponry, new game plus. Good stuff. So there's a lot of stuff they planned for 2022. So if you do buy this game, you're not going to be disappointed and say, hey, you know, they're never going to address anything else. It's going to get future updates and more content, which I will absolutely come back for New Game Plus and play through it again. This one was great. Crystal Merging update. So I'm going to show you this. They've received a lot of balance or a lot of feedback and adjustments to their crystal merging system. I'm going to show you that right now. And this is why I like doing some stuff live, because we can do this. You know, we can say, hey, you know, screw it. We want to see this. So this is, you know those crystals I showed you when you're socketing weapons earlier in the video? Well, you can upgrade them. So you see this one's +1. Okay. Well, now it's going to be +3 because I have a +1 and another one in here. It's going to be +3, +4, +5, and +5 is the max. So I'm going to remove this green one. But it tells you exactly what you're going to get. So I can remove this here, and you see what you're going to get, right? And you can shuffle and be like, oh, what am I going to get? That one looks good. Okay, merge. Boom. And I get exactly what I set out, or sought out, to get, right? Exactly what I wanted to make. So I can keep it blue, just use a lot of blue crystals, and I'll use one green, and I can get another blue crystal. Before this patch here, it was a lot of RNG and randomness to it on what you were going to get after you finished the merging. Sometimes it didn't even upgrade it. You didn't even get an upgrade and you wasted all of your crystals. This was an awesome patch, and this was after release. So as you can see, the dev team is still putting in the work. This was June 24th. They talked about a sale they had. That's always nice to see. And they added a bestiary, which you can see from the menu. Bestiary on all the enemies. I'll just show one of the basic enemies. I don't want to spoil too much of what you're going to see. But you can see the stats of it, what drops you can get, which is important because when you get those drops, you can use that to craft gear, which I'll show a little bit of. I'll show a little bit of this. You can craft some gear. This is more of a consumable crafting bench, and allows you to craft some materials needed for armor and weaponry. I'll craft some leather here. There we go. So the bestiary is actually important to me during my playthrough because I was able to locate exactly what I wanted to farm from what enemies, what materials I could obtain from who, and go out to farm those. AMD Fidelity FX, they added that as well, and NVIDIA DLSS 2.2. These guys are doing some work, I'm telling you. More performance, which I definitely noticed right away on the patch. The loading times was substantially reduced, which is great, right? And another sale they did. And that's the latest of their updates. So there we go. We're going to jump to a final portion of our video, our pros, cons, and final thoughts. Let's do this. The pros, cons, and final thoughts for Edge of Eternity. The story is top-notch. I consider this as the best pro. If you're into stories in your RPGs, you gotta check this one out. There's sacrifice, there's heavy-hearted stuff that you're like, oh, I can't believe that just happened. I don't want to spoil anything, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't. But there's stuff, it'll leave you feeling satisfied. Like, there's a great story, it was It was worth your time. I'm trying so hard not to spoil stuff here, guys. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna move on before I say something. The voice acting quality was surprisingly good. It's not perfect. Some of the characters you probably be like, ooh, but damn, the quality is there for like an indie RPG. It was super surprising. I was very, very impressed by the quality of the voice acting. This soundtrack, as you can hear, it rivals some of the best in the RPG genre. I love this soundtrack, and I would suggest pulling up like the soundtrack on YouTube or something and just listen to some of the tracks, or maybe if you have, I don't know, time in your day to just have some music playing in the background. Play that soundtrack. Let it go. There's some good, relaxing songs. There's some, action songs like I have in the background, like combat song, get you in the mood to PvP. You want to spin up your favorite game and go stab some people. Like that's the best, man. Love the soundtrack. The world design. I showed you guys a little bit of that, and just a little bit of it. It's more impressive than that. There's snowy areas. There's all types of biomes and environments that they're beautiful. They do such a good job designing the world, and graphically the game is extremely impressive, and it really shows in the world design. Whoever's doing the world design over there, whew, you're on fire, man. Keep it up. Or girl. I don't know. The side quest felt meaningful. There's a fair amount of side quests. There's ones on hunting board that it's just like, okay, go to the hunting board. It's like, hey, go kill 10 of these guys. They're nice to have, but there's more meaningful side quests that have like a deep story. Like, I'll include a little bit of a story for one of the side quests where you come across some woman she's sitting amongst a pile of swords, and it's all sitting in the ground, like stabbed into the ground. She's just chilling in a pile of swords, and you come up on her, and you're like, hey, what the hell? What's going on? Why are you sitting in a pile of swords? And she's like, well, I've killed everyone that challenged me. Bring it on. And that's kind of, and then you start learning a little bit more about her, and this is all a side quest, and there's like, it's like an 8 quest side quest chain, and you just get some really cool background information, and it leaves you feeling like satisfied with that character interaction and development. Let's jump over to the cons. The game was far too easy on the hardest. I'm being light here by saying the game was too easy. There's got to be something else like far too easy. It was too simple when it came to combat difficulty. It was too easy. That's even without spending a lot of time grinding, which a lot of you guys probably like that. Like, you don't like the grind. I enjoy grinding in games, but even without the grind, the game was just too easy, and I wish there was like a whole nother difficulty or two above the difficulty, above the hardest difficulty. Weapon upgrades are often lateral. What I mean by this is each character has like 3 to 4 like weapon trees that they can have, like weapon trees. And like when you're in a single weapon tree, you start upgrading through that tree. But every once in a while you'll find a weapon like, oh sweet, this new weapon, let's see what it is. And it'll fall in a different tree. But it'll be like a lateral move, like almost the equivalent of the weapon you already have, but it moves to another tree. And it kind of feels crappy. That's like, you'll find a weapon at the beginning of another weapon tree when you're at the end of the previous one. So the beginning of the next tree is weaker than what you currently have. And then once you get to the same tier of what you're currently at in the new tree, it's like the same as what you had, but there's like a different modifier, such as every time you attack, it'll chain lightning to nearby enemies. Or when you kill an enemy in combat, you'll get a buff. Those are cool, but they're like little modifications to the weapons rather than straight upgrades. There are straight upgrades, but a lot of times you'll find the lateral stuff. Just thought that was a con, because that happened just far too often. Some subtitles are really off. It happens enough that I had to mention it as a con, where you're playing through the game and someone's talking, and like what they're saying, what the voice actor's saying, is not even close to what you're seeing in the subtitle. I'm just like, what the hell is that? That's not even... And it's not like, oh, instead of saying something like, hey, let's go over here, they said something like, we should go that way. It's not even like that. It's just like some completely different sentences. And I was like... And then like the stuff in the subtitles just never comes up in the voice acting lines. I was like, well, maybe that's the next line they're gonna say? No, they just don't say it. I was like, well... And that happens... That happened a few times. Like, it's further in the game. I noticed it's quite a few hours in when you first see that popping up. but it's something I think should be addressed. Okay, this last con, guys, I'm going to say this right now, and I'm serious, this is not a joke. If you suffer from epilepsy or anything of the sort, I'm going to pause my game here to lower the volume of this song. So I'm serious, guys, when I say this. If you suffer from anything that's like, if anything flashes a lot, you suffer from some sort of medical issue, epilepsy or something, please end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, but I don't want to be the cause of some thing, because that's going to bring me to my last con here. The special attack animation. What the hell? What is that? And I'm going to show you guys what it is, and that's why I'm giving you a warning. I'm giving you a fair warning. If you're sticking around, please just know that the screen's going to get very flashy. What the hell? You guys are better than that, and that needs to be changed. I'm going to give you some tough love here. This needs to change. You guys ready for this? So there's a bar here at the bottom right. This is a little orange bar. It fills up as you fight, and you get this special attack. Ready? Watch this. That's bad. That's very bad, and that needs to change. That's excessively bad, and that's probably the worst of it, but it's bad enough that I really do think that needs to be addressed. Like, that's just a bad animation, first of all, and two, like, it doesn't need that. It's such like an additional, unnecessary flash that's just very hard on the eyes. And I was streaming this game a lot, and it had that cool Twitch integration. And one of the cool things is they can, like, boost those special attacks. People that are watching on Twitch, they can, like, make it do additional damage. It's pretty cool. But even they were like, yo, can you skip that attack animation? And you can. You could skip it. But what? It's just awful. It's so bad. And I cannot understand why that's there. And that would be higher up on my cons list, because I seriously think, like, that's something that will cause, like, a seizure or something in some people. I'm no medical expert here, but that's pretty damn bad, right? That's the thing you warn people about in the beginning of games. Like, yo, this game might cause seizures. Careful, you know. Anyway, I hope that gets changed. Final thoughts. Age of Eternity is considered my favorite hidden gem game of the year at this point. The quality of this indie RPG took me by surprise, and I highly recommend it for any fans of JRPG-style games. Age of Eternity is a more enjoyable game than a lot of the recent RPGs that AAA studios have been releasing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this coverage on Age of Eternity. This is my third video of it, or on it, but it will not be the last, because I'm going to come back when they do updates, when they bring in that new endgame content. That'll be next year, but I've really enjoyed my time playing and covering Age of Eternity. I know my stream enjoyed it. It was fun. The story was great. I hope you guys will give it a shot. If you have any questions about the game at all, you need me to answer them before you make your decision on whether or not you want to buy the game, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Throw us a sub! Skedat!